Hi, welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast. I'm David Bruce with Erie Times-News and GoErie.com, and with me is Pam Marlowe, who is with the Erie office of the Better Business Bureau of Western Pennsylvania. If you can't tell, we are on the 14th floor of the Renaissance Center with a great view outside, but we are not here to talk about the view today. We are here to talk about scams. For those who read the Here to Help column that appears in Sunday's paper and on Go Erie, scams are one of the biggest concerns that our readers have. And Pam is someone I talk to pretty frequently about what scams are affecting folks here in Erie and in Western Pennsylvania. Pam, welcome.
Thank you.
And also, Sarah Grabsky is working as our camera person and our producer. Feel free to post a question, and Sarah will, some of the questions that interest her, she'll address them and send them to us to answer. So feel free to contribute to this. Pam, let's talk about scams in general. When we talk about scams, what are we talking about?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is. It's
David,
a huge question.
Yeah, we handle different types of scams all the time, and we're hearing different new ways for people to get scammed. But basically, it's when someone swindles you or dupes you into handing over personal information or money. So you lose money, or you give up your personal information like social security number or medical ID number or some sort of personal identifiable information. PII is what it's sometimes referred to as. So anytime you give that information up, who knows what the con artist can do with it. I mean, if they get your social security number, they're going to open up credit cards, maybe try to buy a new car with your information or rent an apartment. We've had people even commit crimes using someone else's personal information.
It can really cause headaches. I mean, for the
Yes.
victim, it can cause not only money, but when you do identity theft, it can take them hours and days to really get things rectified.
Sure. Even we hear sometimes it takes a lifetime to reverse the damages from identity theft. So it's important to keep the social security number especially protected and not give that out to anybody.
Now, scams aren't new. In the age of the internet, they've taken a turn in how they're done, but scams have gone back decades through the regular mail, and in fact, not all scams are through the internet. Scams can be done in a variety of ways, correct?
Absolutely. We see scams in text messages, emails. Right now, social media is a big culprit of scams, so watch out for the Facebook and Instagram scams. They happen the good old-fashioned way, door to door. We see that even now in Erie. Phone scams, fake websites, so the list goes on ways that you can be contacted by a con artist. And most popularly right now, it's the fake websites or online purchase scams. So con artists creating fake websites, and you say, oh, this merchandise or electronic equipment looks great and it's a cheap price, so let me give them my credit card information. And just like that, you lose your information.
This kind of goes into what you guys are talking about, but somebody said they're targeting the elderly.
Well, and that's what I'm going to leave. Who are the primary victims? We hear a lot that they target the elderly. Is that in fact the case, or who tends to get targeted by these scams?
Anybody can be targeted at any time, and we see that from the reports of scams that come into the Better Business Bureau. Year after year, though, the seniors in Pennsylvania, in this area, are targeted the most by con artists. But shortly after that, we have another segment of the population is military and veterans. We see are number 2 in the state of Pennsylvania.
Why is that? Do you know why they're targeted at such a high rate?
They typically have a military especially have a consistent paycheck, and they move around a lot. They're constant consumers. And so con artists want to target them especially because they know the money is coming in on a regular basis, and because the families do move around a good bit, they are constantly consumers. So they're looking for apartments, looking for cars. So they want to spend their money, and con artists know this. So we do see military and veterans are the second most popular targeted group in Pennsylvania. I would say third is millennials. We're seeing a lot more of the millennials falling victim to scams now, especially with online scams and text message and social media scams.
Is that simply because they're living online more than, say, folks 65 or 70 and older?
Potentially, yes, but then there's that senior population who aren't as tech savvy, so you think they might fall victim more often to online scams, but for some reason the millennials, the online purchase scams are big for millennials. So That's one of the main reasons right now. We actually, last year, we did a study in which found seniors are targeted the most, but millennials actually lose more money in a scam than seniors. So kind of the tables are turning a little bit, but we still see seniors obviously being targeted so frequently.
Okay.
We've got somebody
Yes,
said
sir.
the very young might be used and no one knows about it. Like, do people use young people's information, as in like I have a 2-year-old, like a toddler or somebody like that?
Sure. Child identity theft, a child social security number is very valuable to an identity thief, because it's going to be 18 years, 16 years before your child goes to get a credit card or rent an apartment, and only then will they check their credit score or their credit report. And so an identity thief can steal a young person's social security number and try to open up new credit cards or rent an apartment or
for 15, 16, 18 years, and no one will know.
Yeah, they can wreck their credit, and some people don't realize until they go and apply for that first credit card at 18 years old that they realize someone has ruined their credit. So child identity theft is sometimes more damaging than adults, and then that child is kind of stuck trying to fix the damage to move on.
Just when they're getting their history, living on their own for the first time, making their own adult decisions, they have to repair what could be years of identity theft.
Yeah, you have to even use your social security number to get cable and internet anymore. So if your credit's bad and someone's stolen your identity, you may not even be able to get a good cable deal because of that. So all kinds of
We got some
tricks.
Who made a purchase on a website about a year ago, wish.com, and then somebody else used her information, same website, to make a $179 purchase. Luckily, the site funded back her money, but could you talk a little bit, Pam, about how you kind of vet out a site and make sure that that is a reliable site to spend your money or enter your information on?
Absolutely, good question. Websites are a toss-up too, because anyone can create a website. I mean, you don't have to have a lot of knowledge in order to start a website. There's even tutorials on YouTube that says this is how you start a marketplace online, and how you make money from these seemingly fake websites. So when you're shopping on a website, you should always check the name of the website. Who is the company behind the website? And Better Business Bureau offers reviews on online companies that are located in the United States and Canada. So some of the websites located in like the UK and China, we don't have reviews on, but there are reviews online. If you Google that website with scam or reviews, you often find some other reviews from people from those websites outside the United States. But for basic website, you need to check for security. So check the URL, the address bar, make sure it says HTTPS. The S stands for secure. That means your information will be protected when you enter that information, like your credit card information, your email and name, and that sort of thing. So you'll want to make sure the website's secure, look for the lock symbol, and
that lock symbol will be right next to the HTTPS up in the address bar, which for folks who may not be that savvy, which I know is not a huge percentage of the Facebook Live audience, but a lot of people who read the column on Sunday, that's up at the top of a website. So you want to look for the little drawing of a lock, and then HTTPS with the S on the end.
Good, yeah. And sometimes the address bar will turn green to signify it's secure and encrypted as well, so you know your information is safe. But you do want to look at that company. Who is this company? If you've never shopped from them before, you better look at some reviews. And I know on Better Business Bureau site, we have a review for wish.com. You can see who's complained in the past and what kind of complaints have been lodged against wish.com and these other websites. So you want to do your research, know who you're working with. It's important that that website has contact information, like physical contact information. Where is the company located? Is it located in California, or do they have a China address? So you want to know who you're dealing with and make sure they have contact information so you know who to contact if a problem arises. A lot of these sites, they don't have contact information. Sometimes they'll just have that submission form. It says, submit your question and submit your name here to, inquire about something on this website. And that is a red flag if they don't have physical contact information.
We were talking a little bit before we started the Facebook Live, And one of the interesting things Pam was talking about is the fact that one of the prime targets for scammers isn't people, specific people. They go after businesses.
Sure.
So why don't we talk a little bit about that? Why would they go after a business?
Sure. Small businesses are more susceptible to lose more money in a scam than when individuals fall victim to a scam. So because businesses rely on answering the phone and answering emails and conversing with basically strangers. They don't, sometimes they don't know who exactly they're working with. Small businesses may fall victim to scams more often than an individual on a higher rate, I mean for that. So we see small businesses in this area. We had the utility scam go around earlier where someone pretends to be a local representative of the utility company, like the electric company, and they say your bill is past due. There's so many people that might answer the phone at that business or that handle that kind of, that handle the inquiries coming in, that it may get muddled and say whoever answers the phone might be like, oh, well, we didn't pay our bill, our electric's going to be shut off unless we pay it now. So they ended up just being scared into thinking they're not going to be able to do business until they pay this electric bill, this overdue electric bill.
So they're more likely to answer the phone to engage the scammer than perhaps an individual at home that either has caller ID or lets their answering machine pick it up. There's a higher chance because businesses pick up that phone every time it rings.
Absolutely, that's it. Yeah, there's more chance of them just falling victim because they answer the phone and engage with whoever's on the other end. A phone line is more valuable when someone picks it up and answers it. So that phone line is more valuable to scammers when someone actually answers it. So we recommend that people screen their calls or wait to see if someone leaves a message. I know it kind of hurts to give that advice,
right.
But it's a good way to protect yourself to make sure you're dealing with a legitimate person or business or organization.
Absolutely. I know a lot of you want to know what are the most common types of scams that we're seeing here in Western Pennsylvania. So let's go into that. Pam, is there a most common scam that we're seeing?
This year, yes, and that in Western Pennsylvania, the most popular scam reported has been online purchase scams. So these are the fake websites that pop up when you're shopping online. On Instagram and Facebook are big culprits of hosting scam websites. So you're scrolling through and you see, in my case, I see this cute outfit that I'd like, and they're being offered for this great deal. So I think I better, jump on this offer now and buy from this website I've never bought from before because they sponsored a post on my feed. So we're seeing a lot of the online purchase scams, but you can find fake websites by Googling whatever you're looking for. Even customer service numbers, we're seeing, if you look for the customer service number for Netflix or Yahoo, there are fake customer service lines, fake customer service numbers online. So
and what happens if you call one of those?
Then you'll probably be engaged with a scammer who will ask you, we can solve this problem, but you just have to send us a $100 iTunes gift card in order to solve this tech issue or email issue or some other tech issue that you're having. So.
And we're going to talk about these gift cards in a minute. I want to get through to a couple of the other most common scams, but I definitely want to spend some time talking to Pam about how these gift cards play such a huge role in these scams. But let's talk about so you have the consumer, the fake website scams. Let's talk about a phone scam. What's the most common type of phone scam? The calls I receive at the paper, the most common thing that folks who read the Here to Help column complain about are these phone scams. The calls that they get from the scammers. What are the most common types of phone scams that the BBB gets reports about?
Sure, and thank you for covering some of these topics, because without the education about these scams, some people would never realize that they are, in fact, cons. But we do have tax collection has been the #1 scam for the past several years, #1 phone scam. So it's the IRS scam or tax collection scam. We're seeing these are actually low-risk scams now, although they've been the most popular. We're starting to see the trend where fewer people are actually falling victim to it. So they're more lower risk now, but they're still very popular. We did get a couple reports from this area last week about the tax collection scam. So it's still around, but the IRS agent or some type of tax rep will call you to say that there's a problem with your taxes or you owe money of some sort, and the police will be coming to your house unless you pay up now. So we have the tax collection scam. Which,
of course, is not how the IRS operates.
Correct.
They do not call you out of the blue, and they do not have the local police coming to your door. The IRS, as I've talked with folks from the IRS before on this, it's all through certified mail. They are not going to call you out of the blue. It's obviously a scammer. Another one that I know about, and I don't know how common it is lately, is the Microsoft scam.
Yes.
We get, and I know there are some people that are still getting the calls. I don't hear about it quite as much, but that Microsoft calls your house, right?
No.
And someone pretending to be with Microsoft.
Correct. Yeah, it's always Microsoft or Apple support or Windows. Some sort of tech company calls you out of the blue to say there's a problem with your computer and that they can help you fix it.
Which they wouldn't know if there's a problem with your computer. They're calling you on your landline. There's no way they know that there's a problem with your computer.
Absolutely, yeah. The unsolicited is the key there. If you get a random call, sometimes it even pops up on your screen that you might have some sort of virus on your computer already, but it'll pop up and say, this computer's infected, you need to call Microsoft or Windows support or something like that. But the majority of them are receiving the phone call still, and they'll tell you you're not going to be able to use your computer. So they use those scare tactics to scare someone into thinking, I'm not going to be able to, communicate with my grandchildren or friends, because maybe you communicate on Facebook Messenger with your family or your grandchildren or via email. And so those con artists are after using those scare tactics to just frighten you into thinking you're not going to be able to use your computer. So you better pay this money or let them to remote into your computer in order to fix the problem. And letting them remote into the computer can cause all sorts of problems, because if you have any information saved on there that's personal, that information can be scooped up. Typically they'll ask you to go to your bank account and say, we can, transfer money into your account to help pay for this, or they make up some other excuse for you to access your bank account while you're on the phone with the con artist.
Okay.
And so then they can access funds in your account.
They have spent a lot of time figuring this out and how to get you. I mean, again, we're going to get into how to protect yourself against these scams in just a second, but there was one more scam I wanted to hear about. Pam has a list here, and one of the things she mentioned that really got my interest was puppy scams.
Pet scams, yeah.
Tell me about pet scams and puppy scams. What are we talking about with these?
This is a strange but very common, and it can be very expensive scam as well. So we've had quite a few of them around the Erie area in the past couple of years. One we just had recently where it wasn't technically located in Erie, but there's a website that's selling dogs online, and we had a veteran from Illinois who was searching online for a new service animal, and he came across this website, which was a fake website, but it looks real. They create these amazing looking websites, and the con artist through the website said, okay, wire transfer $540 and this pet is yours. We'll transport the pet to you in Illinois. So this con artist made up that he was located in Erie, PA. He gave an Erie address and said wire transfer the money to this information. And so the address doesn't really matter in this case, because when you wire transfer something, it doesn't go to that physical address. It goes to one of the local service centers, like a MoneyGram or a Western Union. So all that con artist has to do is provide the confirmation number and maybe some identification to pick up the $540 that was sent from the veteran in Illinois. So,
and there's no puppy. There's no pet. There's no pet. And you're out the $540.
That's sad. Yeah, and then they'll ask for more money for insurance or a crate for the dog to fly in, or they'll make up some sort of fees that you need to pay in advance. I think this one was they wanted to pay like $1,300 in insurance fees, and then another couple $100 for some type of city permit.
So it ends up being a couple $1,000, and you still don't get a dog.
Correct. Yeah, and luckily the man from Illinois realized it was a scam when they asked for another $1,500 for insurance and the permit. But he had already sent the $540.
So he was out. He was out that. Oh,
And they're using Erie addresses. I mean, they've used even this building's address before to kind of perpetrate a puppy scam. It had nothing to do with this building, but because there's a lot of businesses here, sometimes con artists use an address that has a lot of different businesses so as not to...
Makes it look more legitimate.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing, is that part of the con. Let's talk about how we prevent scams.
We had somebody say, how do I get them to stop? Like, how do I get them to stop calling me?
Okay, well, let's do that. Pam did talk a little bit about the online, so we won't get into that too much. With online sites, it's to look for secure websites with HTTPS and the lockbox up in the address bar. So we've kind of covered that part of it, I think. Let's talk about the phone scams. It's two-part. One, how do I prevent the calls in the first place? And then how do I prevent from being a victim of a phone scam? So let's talk about, is there anything folks can do to stop scammers from calling them?
Yes and no. This is also a loaded question because I wish I had better news for you, but there are some call blocking techniques out there, either for a landline or a cell phone, in which you can eliminate some of these suspicious calls. Some landline phones or service providers already enable caller ID that says this is a suspicious caller, or it might be a spam call. So some services already do that. If your caller ID doesn't, check with your phone company to see what kind of call blocking techniques that they have. Sometimes you have to pay for them. Sometimes they are courtesy of the phone service. So there are some call blocking services. If it's the same number calling you repeatedly, you can put that on a block list so they will not be able to contact you again. Sometimes if the call is, if the caller uses call blocking technology to contact you, there is services that offer call blocked rejection, I believe it's called, where anytime the number is blocked, they try to call you, that number will be rejected on your phone's end. I think I'm explaining that right. Okay. So there are services.
There are services. It takes some effort on your part. They're not going to block 100% of the calls either. I mean, it could cause. The calls I get from concerned readers, they want a simple answer to do this, and one of the simplest answers is to not answer your phone, to let your phone go to voice messaging. Most scammers do not leave messages. That's tough to do, though. And I know folks who are maybe 70, 75 years old. They have spent a lifetime answering their landline phone by the second ring. It's a tough behavior to learn, is to let everything go to voicemail, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, and it's hard to recommend that to people, to let your phone go, but it's the best protection you have against phone scams, because your phone number is more valuable to scammers if there's someone who actively answers the phone on a consistent basis. So scammers can send out thousands of calls at once using technology, and once you pick up and say hello and engage with a scammer, automatically your phone number is much more on their radar. And so you may even be on what's called a sucker list. If you answer the phone consistently, that's more likely that you'll fall victim to a phone scam. So that scammer will continue to call you once they realize your phone number is active and
the more you answer, the more you engage. Even if what you're saying is stop calling me, the more calls you're going to get. The more you let it go to your voice machine, the fewer calls you're going to get. Though it's not going to eliminate them, is it, Pam? Yeah. Another one, and I've received several calls from this just in the last month or two, is the one where you just say who you are. They go, is this whoever? And is this somebody, Pauline? Yes. And then they hang up. I get calls from people, I've been scammed. If you do say yes to this, are you putting yourself at risk for a scam?
We haven't seen anyone actually fall victim or lose any money in this yes scam, but that is a tactic that scammers use to identify real active phone lines as well. So I think that was the end game for that scam. Every once in a while we do hear that's reported, someone calls and asks you a yes or no question whereas you say yes, and then they hang up, or they ask you more questions that are unrelated. They're not related to anything pretty much, but we do see that. I know businesses will get that as well, and then sometimes a business will get a fake invoice from a company, and when they call to say, we never purchased this, what is this invoice for, they'll play back that recorded yes answer and they'll say that this was you confirming that you wanted these products or service. And so sometimes we do see a business related twist to that, but for regular consumers like you and I, these are intended to find out who has the real active phone lines.
Okay, so
we have a kind of a comment, but maybe you can address this, Pam. This person says, I'm on the do not call list for state and national, and his phone still rings from telemarketers and scammers. Do they have ways around these do not call lists, or?
The do not call list will stop the legitimate sales calls from contacting you, but scammers don't care about the do not call list, because if you don't report the phone numbers or the spam calls to your cell phone or your landline, there's less chance that these callers will actually be caught violating the do not call list. So it kind of works in two ways. Consumers do have to report the scams, and they can do that to the Federal Trade Commission. They can file a complaint that says this number is violating the do not call list.
The FTC's website is www.ftc.gov. And then you can also report it to the BBB's scam tracker.
Sure, yeah.
Which I believe you can find it right here.
Yes.
At bbb.org, and then you just look for scam tracker on that.
Yeah, you can report scams there. You can zoom in to see what's happening in the Erie area, see what scams have been reported here recently, and it's a way to help educate people in this area about what type of scams they might run into, and it helps us to identify what's happening so we can provide better education and spread the word that this is happening, and so hopefully fewer people actually fall victim to some of the scams.
At what point should you contact your local police, whether it's the City of Erie Police, Mill Creek Police, State Police? At what point should someone, obviously if you just get a call from a recording and you didn't act on it, you probably wouldn't report that to police. At what stage should this become a reportable crime?
Once you do realize that you've been scammed, you can
So
contact
once you've
the
lost
police.
money, or you think that you're a victim of identity theft,
Sure,
you
yeah.
need to get the police involved.
The sooner you report identity theft to the Federal Trade Commission will help you through getting back on your feet after identity theft. But the sooner you report types of fraud and identity theft, typically the easier it is to reverse the things that just happened. So, or help just ease the things that just happened. So. If you feel threatened in any way, though, if you're scared, it's okay to run that by the police to make sure that it's not legit. For instance, the grandparent scam or the family emergency scam, where someone calls to pretend they're a family member, typically a grandchild, and they'll say, "Grandma, is that you? I'm in a lot of trouble. I was in an accident and was arrested in another state, and I need you to send me some money." You can always check with police to make sure that is a scam. But if you're scared or feel threatened in any way, it's a good idea to run that by law enforcement, and they'll be able to.
Another insidious scam playing on people's emotions. One of the trademarks, and we kind of went back to realize if you're in a scam or not, one of the easiest ways to tell is how they're going to ask for the payment. So let's say you haven't followed some of the things where you let it go to voicemail, you're actually talking with someone in a scam, or you're in contact email-wise or social media-wise. One of the keys is how they ask for payment. Whether it's the IRS scam or whether it's the grandparent scam, or no matter what it is, they don't want a check. Many of them don't want your credit card number. They want a special type of payment, don't they, Pam?
Absolutely, and that's a good point. The biggest red flag I tell people when identifying a scam is the type of payment you're asked to send. So huge red flags: wire transfer. Any sort of money-to-money transfer. There's a Walmart-to-Walmart transfer that's been very popular recently. Any type of gift card payment. So an iTunes gift card can only be used where, David?
It's on the for iTunes.
For iTunes,
on the
yes.
website, yeah.
Yeah, iTunes gift card should only be used on the iTunes store. They should not be used to pay a fee or a debt. So if someone asks you to load up an iTunes card with $500 to fix this tech support issue, you'll know it's a scam because of that payment. It's quick, easy, anonymous, and almost impossible to reverse. So once you provide the information on that iTunes card to whoever you're communicating with, they're going to move the money around or cash that gift card in, and your money's going to be gone. So it's very hard to reverse wire transfers or Walmart to Walmart transfers, gift cards. I think
pretty much. So if someone has called you unsolicited, out of the blue, and whatever the scam is, and they're asking for you to go to the convenience store and buy a bunch of prepaid debit cards to pay for something, you're involved in a scam. It's pretty much that cut and dry, isn't it?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there are legitimate uses for prepaid money cards, but not to pay a fee or a debt or someone who's you don't know, who's someone you never met in person. Don't send them a wire transfer or money from a prepaid money card.
Yeah. The one last thing, and we're almost at the end of our half hour, is another tip that Pam has talked about over the years is take a minute. They're trying to get you to make a decision. Scammers are trying to get you to make a decision instantaneous, so you don't have time to think about it. In real life, whether it's the IRS, whether it's whatever, you have time to think about things. IRS, it is a months, if not years-long process to rectify an issue, a real issue with the IRS. You just need to take a minute and talk to somebody about it, don't you?
Sure, yeah. Just take a minute, do some research on who exactly is calling you. Always get a name, number, and even a physical address from where they're calling from. And if they can't provide any legitimate information, if they're calling from the IRS, ask them for that information, and they shouldn't be able to produce a legitimate response. But yeah, it's always good to research, take a minute, and sometimes for phone calls, if you receive an unsolicited phone call, just hang up the phone and call that known customer service line for the business or organization. If it was a grandkid scam, they might tell you not to contact your family, but hang up the phone and contact your family. Contact your family members to verify that whoever's calling you is legitimate. And a lot of customer service reps know this now, so they're not surprised if someone hangs up on them and verifies they are who they say they are. Even if they're legitimate, you'll be able to find them again by calling the known customer service line for whoever.
It might take a couple minutes, but
yes, yeah, you'll be able to find them again. But that's one of the best ways to verify something. Is just hang up the phone and contact using a number on the back of your card or number on your utility bill, something like that. Like we said before, you can't just Google a phone number now because there are a lot of fake.
There's a lot of fake ones, but there are ways to get the legitimate number.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
so. All right. This was great. It went very fast. Lots of information out there. I'm going to be taking the information that Pam and I talked about and use it for the Here to Help column on Sunday, so you get a chance to read a more abbreviated version of this. Maybe there'll be a little bit of extra information there for websites that folks can go to help reduce their risk of scams. Pam, thank you very much. Pam Marlowe from the Erie office of the Better Business Bureau of Western Pennsylvania. And thanks to Sarah Grabsky behind the camera for helping us out. I'm David Bruce from the Erie Times-News. Thank you very much for watching this Facebook Live.